Starting to catch up on GACs a little bit. Very behind. GAC is just so boring, man. It's just so fucking boring. I finished WandaVision on Disney Plus. Apparently, it's just meant to really be a mini series. It's not a full show, so it's just the one season, which I guess is okay. I guess better that than flogging it to death and milking it for everything it's worth. With any luck, it'll be like what Favreau did, or at least set up, in terms of the Marvel movies, a bunch of separate storylines that some happen concurrently, some happen at varying points in time, but ultimately all come together for a finale of sorts. Like, all the Iron Man movies, all the Captain America movies, all the Thor movies, the Doctor Strange movie, all of these things coming together for Infinity War and Endgame. So maybe, hopefully, they're doing something like that for the TV series, because WandaVision, spoiler alert, ends basically after this first season. Of course, there's a cliffhanger. Not going to tell you anything beyond that. We have Falcon and the Winter Soldier coming out relatively soon, which, by all accounts thus far, looks to be really, really good. So I'm excited for that. And it seems like they're doing the same thing with the Star Wars shows, right? A number of these storylines are all concurrent with the new shows: Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic, the Boba Fett show. I mean, all these things are taking place more or less at the same time, and presumably they will all come together for, I don't know if it's going to be a final show or final movie or whatever the case may be, but I am looking forward to all of that. If you don't have Disney Plus by now, what are you doing? Like, if it's not available in your country, that's one thing. But if you don't have Disney Plus, what are you doing? I mean, there's just so much stuff that you can watch. And they're slowly putting out more and more 20th Century Fox stuff as well. Of course, Disney bought the bulk of Fox. So there's a lot of stuff to watch on it, man. So you're crazy. I mean, Disney Plus A is pretty cheap. I mean, it's like $6 a month, so it's cheaper than Netflix. I mean, of course, I'm biased because I own stock in Disney, but I think, well, Netflix is kind of losing me a little bit. Netflix has great documentaries. They have really stepped up their documentary game. I gotta give them that. But some of their original movies and content it's kind of fell off a little bit. I am, of course, extremely excited and waiting happily, well, not happily waiting, but eagerly awaiting The Witcher Season 2, Stranger Things Season, is it 4, 5? I don't know. Whatever the next season of Stranger Things is, excited for that, because those are great shows. But outside of that, I mean, I never really got into Narcos. Lots of people love Narcos. Totally fair. Just never really got into it. But I don't know. And again, I am biased because I own stock in Disney and I love Star Wars and Marvel. But I just think, in terms of bang for your buck, Disney Plus is awesome. I mean, and they've blown subscriber expectations out of the fucking water. Initially, they predicted 90 million Disney Plus subscribers by 2024 or something like that. And they've got over 100 million subs now in 2021. I'm sure eventually that growth pace will slow a little bit, but I mean, yeah, they have a lot of room to run. I mean, there's well over 300 million people just in the United States alone, so they have some room to grow locally and, of course, internationally. I mean, there's over 300 billion people in the world. Look, of course, not everyone's going to have a Disney Plus membership. That's ridiculous. But there's still room to grow. 100 million versus 3+ billion. There's definitely still room to grow. And they're doubling down on their streaming content. I mean, they're churning out these shows, churning them out. I mean, they're churning out almost half a dozen Star Wars shows. They're just getting started with the Marvel shows. So I think it's going to be very good, both just for entertainment purposes and for the company and the stock. Yeah, if you don't have a Disney Plus membership, like, get on it. Get on it. Especially if you have Verizon, I'm pretty sure you can still get that bundle deal for Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN for like ridiculously cheap. I don't really watch Hulu or ESPN, so I won't get it, but if that's your thing, then there's definitely a good deal for you somewhere. Whoops. I actually really want Disney to spin off ESPN, but they're starting to make money with all the UFC matches and shit. I'm not really a big UFC fan, and by not really a big one, I think it's like tantamount to human cockfighting, so it's really not my thing. But whatever, to each their own, right? Like I've said many times before. Yeah. Don't be surprised if the markets are a little bit unsteady next week, because last week was a pretty steady climb. But I mean, you got to be in it for the long haul. And just don't. So many people ask me, like, from here in my personal life, they're like, oh, what's next? GameStop. Don't do that. Like, no. Don't go trying to find the next GameStop, because you're probably going to lose. Because no. Like, is there money to be made in that? Sure. But is it surefire? Definitely not. I mean, that is just like the definition of gambling. And I don't think that if you invest soundly, based on valuation, based on company story, based on even management, and to a lesser extent charts, I think if you invest soundly, it's not a gamble. I put some money into SDY, which is the S&P Dividend Aristocrat ETF, which solely consists of stocks that have raised their dividends every year for the last however many decades, which is boring as fuck, admittedly. But it may take time, it may be slow, but that thing is pretty much the closest thing to a guarantee you're going to get in terms of making money in the stock market. Because it's going to go up. It's going to go up. Again, and you're getting a 2.75% yield just to own it. So you're making money to sit on your hands, which is not such a bad thing. Back when interest rates weren't zero, you could get, well, actually before the Great Recession, back in back in 2005, 2006, you could get a certificate of deposit in a bank for like 4.5%, 5%. If I could do that now, I would just put every dollar I had into that. Figure if you get a 5% CD and you got $1 million, just for argument's sake, 5% CD, $1 million, you throw that $1 million into 5%, make 50 grand a year for doing nothing. What's so bad about that? Nothing. I would do that now if I could. I would do that now. I can't get those rates anymore. Won't be able to get those rates for a very long time. But so what's the next best thing? Really steady, boring stocks. And there you have it.